Eton Microlink FR160 weather radio. It's actually just a normal radio with a light on it and all that whatnot. It's been a relatively decent radio, but it's had one problem since day one. I haven't really cared until now when that problem got worse. And that problem is the battery. And it's a specialty type. What is it? It's a 2/3 AAA. It's a nickel metal hydride pack, 3.6 volt, 350 milliamp hour. You can get them online. I don't want to buy one I don't want to buy anything online because I don't do things that way. And the battery itself in stores around here is going to run you about 40 bucks. As opposed to getting one of these. Get that out of the way. Here's some contraband for the iMac, but that's completely unrelated for this. Getting one of these. An FRX1, at least that's what it looks like. AM, FM weather radio, blue colored, it's green on the back. Everything looks pretty good. This thing was 20 bucks, as opposed to getting a $40 battery for this thing. Having it last for another 4 years. I'd rather get one of these, and hopefully last longer. Because the one Achilles heel of this happens to be the way that you charge it. You have to use the hand crank in order to do it. Let's see if I can get this thing open. It looks like I can. Now, there's no real point in me going through, like, everything that you need to know about this, because there's not a whole heck of a lot that you need to know about this. It is a radio. Oh, it's huge, that's for sure. And it works. You can see there. The light is actually brighter than my other one. And then there's the micro USB cable, that actual mini USB cable. Really? I thought it'd be micro USB like everything else, but apparently it's not. Battery goes in there. Anyway, okay. I'll figure that out. But anyway, you see you still got the hand crank on the back. You've got the antenna, you've got the little light, you've got all of that. And the one thing that it has over this one is a DC input. It doesn't have the cell phone charger, but I don't care because you could actually still do that with this. What you could do is I'd assume that you can probably still hand crank it. In fact, I don't even think you could charge your cell phone with this because it doesn't support that. But anyway, let me set this up and we'll take a look at the rest of it. And there it is working. As you can see, it's just got the one speaker, but that's okay. It doesn't really have to be super high fidelity in order to work. But that's pretty much all that I need to say about this. I'm going to plug it into the computer here, and I'm going to test out the USB charging feature. Alright, I would call that the pretty scintillating success. Too bad my camera won't focus on it. It's plugged in via USB. And it even works when it's plugged in via USB. So there's that. Now let's move on to this, because I'm sure that there will be somebody that will want to see how to actually do this. Let's get this thing down and apart and we'll take a look. First thing is first. Remove the screws from the outside. Now, what you want to use is a screwdriver that is decent and will grasp the screw heads carefully. This doesn't qualify, but it has the benefit of being that it was the first screwdriver that I found, and it's also cheap. I don't need to go out and buy one. So, and then what you want to do is there are some screws underneath a little plate here. You want to remove that plate carefully because it's probably made of brittle plastic. Well, it'll be brittle now. So you don't want to, like, scratch it up. Do anything like that. And you'll see 4 screws. Now you want to be careful with these, and I'll show you why in a second. This is the screw right here that goes on the outer edges. This is the screw that goes on the inside. And if you don't know what I mean by that, that's what I mean by that. Check out the size difference between the two. And if you can't see it, well, I assure you that there is a size difference. So you want to make sure you remember which ones go where. Once you have that done, it should be relatively easy. Although relatively easy is obviously a subjective term. To remove the bottom panel. You want to do it carefully once again because there are snaps that could cause problems. Flip it back down onto the CRT face, being careful not to drop it because you could break it. It's not immune to that. You need a smaller screwdriver. Well, I wasn't able to find my clippers, but you can use, well, clippers, wow, my magnetic screwdriver, but you can get by using a pair of nose-haired clippers if you're careful with them and they're not dirty, because that's disgusting. And you could take out the 6 screws. There's one here, there's one there, there's one over there, there's one there, and then there's these 2 here, which you didn't see, but I'll show you those in a second. Now that you can see the bottom, there's a screw here, there's a screw here and here, and then there's another one over on this side. That might be a little bit harder to get to. I never advocate using a flathead screwdriver when I fill this bit, but it should be fine for this purpose because it fits perfectly. Fortunately, it just fell out. These 2 are the easiest ones out of them all. And then this whole metal shield, which by the way is called the EMI shield, it's to protect against ESD and RF interference with other devices. This can come right off, just like that. Being careful not to touch any of this right here, which is the power supply. This stuff. Because that can hurt you. We're going to get our new battery, put it into the battery holder, which is right there. Here's our new battery. Now it should be marked on the board which one is positive, and it happens to be this one. So we'll put the battery in, like so. And it should now work. Once you have your battery installed, you can put the EMI shield back in. Now, on models that have a VGA port right here, which again you can't see, a VGA port right here, you want to be careful with this shield, making sure that you don't break off that VGA port. And this one doesn't really matter that much. So you can put this in however you want. Just as long as it still fits, like so. And now the difficult part is putting all the screws back in. And of course, now you can also put your top piece on. And screw it all back in. And you can turn it on. Hope that nothing explodes. Once you're booted into your operating system, you can go into the time control panel. Sorry for all the blinking. And you can set your date and time to whatever it happens to be. Once you're done with that, shut the machine off, unplug it, and wait for a little bit and test to make sure that the battery is holding the date and time. If yours keeps the date and time perfectly like this one, then you're all done. If it doesn't, then you might want to check the polarity of your installed battery, you might want to check your battery, and lastly, you might have a bad motherboard. But all of that is outside of the scope of this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.